Hello, and welcome to my first post here. My name is Anthony Zortea. This presentation is by Anthony Zortea. All right, so what do I do? I'm currently a fifth grade math teacher in North Penn School District. This is my fourth year, more or less, in North Penn. In the past, I was a middle school science teacher in Fort Lauderdale for 1 year. Let's see, what do I do for fun? All right, so I like to play guitar. I like to play some piano and sing. I exercise a lot. I do not run because I don't like running. I play a lot of disc golf. For those of you that don't know, it's like golf but with a frisbee, and instead of a hole, it's a basket. It's fun. And I like to hang out with my family. I am one of 8 siblings. I have 1 full brother, 5 half brothers and sisters, and 1 adopted sister. So we have a big old family. This picture on the right here, every summer, even though I teach, I still work at a summer camp. We put on a play, and I'm always one of the leads in the play. This year we did, actually this was 2 years ago, we did Madagascar, and I was King Julian. I was a lemur. I sang songs such as I Like to Move It and other ones, so that was a lot of fun. All right. So what are my experiences with online teaching? I have 0 experience giving or being on the learning side of online teaching, which I'm excited about because I think I have a lot of opinions about things that and I can get a little stuck in my ways. But I have no opinion about what I'm about to learn about. So that's exciting. So I think I'm going to have an open mind about a lot of the things that we're going to be reading about. So in that first article, they talk about how teaching is teaching. And if that's really true, does that really translate? Hey, if you can do it face to face, you're going to do the same thing in an online setting. And I kind of think of teaching in these 2 categories: is what you know and how you present it. And the other category is how you interact with the students. I think the online environment, you can show what you know, you can present it really well to the students. I'm sure there's a lot of tools, a lot of amazing tools online that would support something similar in face-to-face. But there are the limitations. In my classroom, I can say, hey guys, let's go up to the front carpet, bring your whiteboard, and we're going to talk about multiplication by putting you into different groups. That's something I can't do online physically. Also, how you interact with students. So online, obviously you can, maybe you're on the phone or you're Skyping, so you have a level of interaction, but it's obviously a lot less and a lot different. So I think from what I feel so far is that this online teaching is probably a solid alternative, a solid second best scenario to online teaching or to a face-to-face teaching, just based on there are some limitations. Some more challenges that I wanted to know about. In one section of it, they talked about getting to know the students. I would be interested in learning more about who is taking these classes. What's the socioeconomic spread? Where are the students taking the classes? Just what types of students are they? And what does the time frame look like for giving a class? Do you have 7 minutes before you start, I guess, quote unquote, teaching to just talk to the student? How was your weekend? Hey, what'd you think about the last lesson? Or how'd your baseball game go? Or how'd the, dance recital go? Do you have time to make those personal connections? Or is it, hey, we're on for 40 minutes, let's get going? And something else I want to learn about with the pedagogy, are best practices really different? I mean, are there better ways to motivate someone online versus in person? Are there some real research differences that say, hey, if you're online, this is the best way to do it, as opposed to when you're in face-to-face, there's a different best way to do it? I'd be interested to see those things. The article about roles of an online teacher, I was interested in the idea of the presence when you're just online. So the main question I kind of thought about was how can you build the relationship to foster a positive psychological presence, right? So it said you can't physically be there, but if I'm having a conversation with a student and we're trying to work through a problem, if I have a good psychological presence, maybe, they'll kind of feel like, oh, Mr. Zortea's, he's waiting for me to get this problem. I want to keep on, I want to keep going with it. Versus, oh, he's not even here. I don't really care. I'm just not going to do this. So how can you build that relationship so that you have a good psychological presence, not one that is making the student more nervous on the other end? Also made me think about assumptions I had about communication. When I first thought about online teaching, my thought was just, oh, okay, it's me behind a computer and the other student behind the other computer. I didn't really consider, okay, no, there's parents that you're also going to be communicating with. There's going to be other, educational leaders that you're communicating with. Maybe, if they're receiving therapy or something, hey, I can email the person they're talking to. I didn't really think about that before because I figured, oh, it's just separate. You're separate from them. But I guess it still is that community of, I think they like to say people that have a vested interest. For the commercials, only one was popping up for me, so I'll talk about that one. I thought the K-12 online commercial was really good. It really hit the first domain. Really, all these standards, A through E, it hit really well. The shifting from teacher-led instruction, the valuing collaboration. I think every shot, they had, the child in one shot. They had one of the child, they had the parent, they had the principal. There was a lot of people collaborating. They hit on a million times being flexible and personalized, and especially standard D, model a growth orientation towards learning for self and others. They constantly talked about, hey, does that goal still make sense? Do we need to change that goal? Do we need to ramp it up? Do we need to bring it down a little bit? So I really thought the K-12 online one was great. I also looked at one for Connection Academy on YouTube just to try to find it on my own. And again, I was really trying to be critical because the K-12 online was a good commercial. So I wanted to find one that I kind of felt like wasn't that great. But I felt like for the time they had, the thing that these commercials are really pushing for is collaboration and choice. And using the internet, using the tools in unique ways. So I was having a hard time being critical of some of these commercials. So I look forward to maybe some other people finding some areas to critique. But all right, well, thank you for listening, and I look forward to commenting on everyone else.